इंद्रप्रस्थ ये इंद्रप्रस्थ
हर युग का ये भारत दर्शन हर युग का ये भारत दर्शन हर युग का ये भारत
ये
दर्शन
इंद्रप्रस्थ ये इंद्रप्रस्थ ये इंद्रप्रस्थ ये इंद्रप्रस्थ ये इंद्रप्रस्थ ये इंद्रप्रस्थ
Welcome to Indraprastha.
The capital of the world's oldest, largest, and most vibrant civilization and democracy.
where eminent experts unfold the past, present, and future towards building a greater Bharat, Mahabharata.
An initiative of Neera Misra's Draupadi Dream Trust,
Ranjit Chaturvedi's Project Atmanirbhar.
And Aryan Adityo from Chrysalis Media. Today's speaker is the well-known personality Major General G.D. Bakshi. Major General G.D. Bakshi is one of the most familiar and popular faces of Indian television who overwhelms the nationalist and annoys the Lutyens liberalists.
he has been a teacher in the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, and the Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, at National Defence College in Delhi.
He was awarded the Vishisht Seva Medal for commanding a battalion in operations in Kargil.
And the Sena Medal for counter-terror operations in the rugged mountains of Kishtwar.
He is also a prolific writer with 110 papers and over 27 books published on subjects of military matters, history, and politics. Interesting ones being the Mahabharata war strategies, the Saraswati, and 2 books on Subhash Chandra Bose.
The topic for today is the geopolitics of the Mahabharata era, democracy versus monarchy, a significant role of Sri Krishna in establishing democracy at Bharat.
General Saab, wow. I mean, I've heard you on television. It's the first time I hear a lion roar in my earphones.
जड़ से अगर जुड़े हैं तो जीवित हैं, जड़ से टूटे तो सूखा पत्ता. So it's very important that to strengthen the tree, it's very important we know our roots. Or what we believe is Indraprastha is that place जहाँ पे the tree and the root comes together. जहाँ से हमारी journey शुरू होती है, that is Indraprastha.
Thank you, Beta Neera, and thank you for this very generous introduction. And it's very kind of you to say such good things about an old soldier. History has been my passion. And all my life I have tried to understand history because, as George Santania says, those who do not learn from history will be condemned to repeat it. Right? The period of the Mahabharata is the period of the Yuga. One Yuga ending, one age ending, and another starting. Another, the age of Kali, the age of iron, the age of machine. Our present day civilization dates back to the Armageddon, the great war of the Mahabharata. Now let me put this in some, geopolitical kind of a context. The mother river of the Indian civilization, incidentally, was not the Indra, it was the Saraswati. That was the time that the Vedic civilization was concentrated, focused along the Sapta Sindhava, the 7 great streams of India mentioned in the Nadi Sukta. The Nadi Sukta mentioned these 7 rivers. These were starting from the east, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Sindhu, and then of course we had the smaller rivers of the Beas, the Satluj, the 5 rivers of the Punjab. In this core civilizational area, we had a phenomena that was coming up, and that phenomena was that the Yadava clans of Krishna, they had become a democracy. Kans was a very cruel ruler. Don't forget, he had killed all the siblings of Krishna because of that prophecy that the child of his sister would be his killer. So he had killed all the children, the siblings of Krishna, and then Krishna, we all know how he was saved by him being taken out and replaced with, the girl child. And Kans came and killed that girl child, you see. And as she was dying, there was a kind of spirit more or less said that your killer is there. He has been born elsewhere. You have murdered me, but your killer is there. So Krishna and Balaram, when the brothers grew up, they were just in their teens. They were very strong. And Krishna had learned his guru was Ghor Angiras, a great Atharvan of that era. Atharvans could do a lot of magical, psychological warfare kind of thing, and they had a lot of power. So Krishna had learned from Ghor Angiras, and he and his brother were able to overthrow and kill, this Kans in a palace coup. And thereafter they established democratic rule. Rule almost like a tribal council, like there was no king, there was no hereditary king, and the people more or less had elected Krishna and Balaram as their first leader. Right? Now, when this seed of democracy started flowering in India, and don't forget, by the time of the Buddha, there were many clan republics, the Lichavis and Vaishali and all these were clan republics. So democracy was not a gift of the British to us. It was not a foreign import to India. It was in the natural soil of India that Krishna was the first democratic ruler in the whole of the subcontinent. And you can imagine how much that worried, how deeply, how greatly that worried all the monarchical, absolute monarchies that were there. Now, Kansa had marriage ties with Jarasandha of Magadha, one of the most powerful rulers of that time, and with many other kings. In those days, alliances were done based upon marriages and these kind of ties. So he had lots of relationships with a lot of very strong monarchical states on the borders of Mathura, on the borders of the kingdom of Krishna and Balaram, which was now a democracy, a liberal democracy, which elected its leader rather than hereditary from birth kind of a thing, right? And take your mind to what happened in Europe around the 17th century. France became a republic. France overthrew the king, slaughtered its king, the royal family, and it became a republic. And this threatened all the monarchies of Europe, so they all ganged up to come and destroy the republic in France and to restore the kingship, restore the royal absolute monarchical system. A similar thing happened in the times of Krishna. He was repeatedly attacked again and again and again and again. There was no peace. They would defeat Jarasandha one time, he would come back again with a stronger force and then a stronger force and keep sending his generals, Ultimately, we all know that Krishna undertook the great long march, the great retreat, for which he was called Ranchod. But Krishna had the strategic sense to understand that you can't stay in a place where you are surrounded by enemies. Your nation will not progress. You will get destroyed one time or the other. You will be overwhelmed. So he decided that the entire Yadava clan migrated all the way from the Ganga Yamuna heartland all the way down to Gujarat on the western sea coast of India. This is called the Great Migration. If you remember, in the Chinese, when Mao Zedong was, fighting with the Kuomintang in China, he was similarly put under pressure, and to survive, he had taken a very similar long march. About 3,000 years ago or 3,000 miles ago, he had made his base in the high mountains where he would at least be safe. He would not be in the main civilizational area. And even Chiang Kai-shek was happy His German advisors were happy. Oh, we have pushed him out from the Chinese plane. He is no longer relevant in the main landmass of China. So he, of course, had gone there. He built his strength there. Then he counterattacked. And we all know in 1949, he had completely destroyed Chiang Kai-shek and made China into a communist country. So something very similar happened. Krishna decided to move out, stage a strategic retreat from the Ganga Yamuna heartland and retreat thousands of kilometers to Gujarat. And there he made a very prosperous kingdom with the capital at Dwarka. Dwarka was, in that era, a legendary capital. Legendary capital. Even now, the divers are bringing out the ruins of Dwarkadhish, that place where the Lord of Dwarka had his capital. Wonderful, what architecture, what greatly advanced civilization we are seeing. A large part has been destroyed because don't forget, if you go to Nepal and you see the palaces of the king, they are all made of wood. Such magnificent structure. But unfortunately, wood will not survive underwater, and wood also perishes because of the humid climate that we have, the long monsoon. Wood also rots and gets destroyed here. So most of the glory of that era, you can't see today. If you see the Narayan Hatti Palace in Kathmandu, what a grand palace it is. It's all wood. It's all wood. Those were the kind of palaces that you had. No, because there was no dearth of forests and there was no dearth of trees here in India of that era. So when Krishna got, marginalized to the western shore of India, he was not marginalized from the geopolitics. He did not become irrelevant. In fact, he was such a great strategist that it is said Gandhari accused him of engineering the Mahabharata war. And why did the Lord do it? He did it for two reasons. One, that, righteousness, dharma would be established by getting people who were oriented towards dharma. The Kaurava king, Duryodhan, had gone quite power mad. And, with what he tried to do to Draupadi, etc., he had lost the moral right really to rule. He had lost that moral right to rule. So Krishna made the two greatest monarchical powers of that time, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, fight a war on the principle of succession. On the principle of succession. And that time it was, that so-called divine conception. Don't forget that Kunti had conceived and the younger wife had conceived because of intervention of the mantra, intervention of the deva. Now, was that to be recognized or not to be recognized? No, like Christ's birth is supposed to have been not by the normal way, but also conceived by God. Mary is said conceived by God. So, so that principle was there, and there was the fight on this principle in the Mahabharata. And there were at that time many great warriors who had developed these psychological weapons, mind weapons, by which they could use their pranic powers to kill at a distance. To kill at a distance. Brahmastra, Narayanastra, etc., etc., Sarpastra, all these great astras. I mean, Parshuram had it, he had taught it to Bhishma, taught it to Krishna, Dronacharya knew it, Dronacharya had taught it to the Pandavas, mostly to Arjun and Ashwathama. So there were these people who had become power centers in themselves. They were like Jedi Knights. And some of them were misusing these powers. So what is the best way to get the world rid of these astras? Make the two fight in a very, very major war. At a lower strategic level of what we call understanding of strategy today, the strategy that Krishna used was war avoidance. War avoidance. He made the two big powers fight. Every other kingdom in the whole of India then came and took side, either the Kaurava side or the Pandava side, and most of them chose the the Kaurava side, and that army grew. Akshauhani, 18 Akshauhani ki Sena, you know, and then he made them fight. He did not take part in that war. He was charioteer. He said, I will not lift them. He was charioteer to Arjun, and therefore he saw the whole war. He maneuvered the whole war. He strategized the whole war. The two sides, the greatest bloodbath on this earth. मतलब वो जो 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 रथ थे उनके पहिए धस रहे थे, इतना खून से खून का कीचड़ हो, पहिए धस रहे थे till their axle. They had to be pulled out. And we all know how Karna died, right? So in Krishna avoided war himself. He made the two big powers fight. Yes, the Pandavas won, but the whole North India was so weakened that the most powerful kingdom that emerged was who? Krishna. And Gandhari accused Krishna of starting this war deliberately, starting this war and destroying the monarchical power, so that democracy would prevail in the whole of North India. Because the conflict was between absolute monarchical system and democratic system. So at the end of the Mahabharata, which is the strongest power to that is the Yadavas, the Democrats. They are the strongest power to emerge from this huge, huge power play that we see in the Mahabharatan Armageddon, the great war. But Krishna had the foresight. He was a visionary. He could see what was coming in the future. He had destroyed all these people with extraordinary power of destruction. Those who could wield the Brahmastra were dead. Those who could wield the Narayanastra were dead. The Sarpastra and all those Shaktis, they were all dead and gone. He made sure they killed one another. So that a new age started and the Kali Yuga started. He forecast the end of his own clan. And he forecast his own death. When his own death was to come, he just went and sat in the, in the forest. And there one, as we all know, a hunter mistook his toe for a deer peeking out of a rock. And only place where Krishna was vulnerable was in the heel, Achilles' heel. In Greek mythology, we have Achilles, who was vulnerable only in the heel. And in Indian mythology, you have Krishna. In all probability, the Greek mythology has mythologized the same characters, given them different names. For example, there is Helen of Troy who is abducted. Here, Sita is abducted. She is taken to another place, another island, and here she is taken to Sri Lanka. And then there is an invasion, there is a siege, and there are the battles. So there is a lot of commonality in the core myth of the Indic civilization and the Greek civilization. Now I would like to say a few things about the Indian view of history. The Indian view of history. There are two schools in history. One is the Arnold Toynbee school, and the other is the Marxist, right? The Marxist view of history. Arnold Toynbee says that it is the great captains of war, the great rulers, the Ashoka, the Hitlers, etc., who shape history. The Churchill, the Roosevelt, the Stalin, great leaders, they shape history. The Mao Zedong, right? The Marxist school of history says, oh, these are just labels. अगर हिटलर नहीं होता तो और कोई मैडमैन आ जाता जर्मनी में, like Himmler or Goering, or any one of them could have become that kind of a madman who took Germany to war and almost destroyed the world, and certainly Germany was destroyed. In that Gotthard, Dammendrung, Germany was destroyed. So they say, the Marxists say, It is the forces of history. It is the forces of history that really create the great changes. And the kings and the great leaders are just a label that you put on a bottle. वो bottle के अंदर क्या है? Shaped not by that leader, but by those who made that bottle. The forces of history. You know, for example, Second World War, there was the Great Depression, and the world economy had been ruined. In Germany, there was so much inflation that one loaf of bread used to cost 1 billion marks. So people were so frustrated, people were so fed up. About it, you know. So that, in short, is the Marxist school of history and the Toynbee school of history. In India, we have a great synthesis of this in the historical outlook which has been propounded in the Gita. And what is the basis of the historical outlook of the Gita? Yada yada hi dharmasya
क्या बात है?
glanirabhavati bharata abhyutthana. Whenever righteousness declines, there is a social condition, overwhelming condition of distress, challenge from the natural or social environment. Then I incarnate. A great leader comes who takes the Indian civilization to the new dawn, to a new beginning. This is exactly what Krishna did. This is exactly what Rama did. Rama spread the Indian empire right down to the south. And of course, he had gone to Sri Lanka also and imposed Vibhishan as the ruler there, who was loyal to him. So he had united North and South India. In Krishna, we see he had brought up democracy. He had brought up democracy by making the monarchical powers fight. So yada yada hi dharmasya, whenever righteousness declines, whenever there is great chaos, great turbulence, natural, social environment, then I arise. So the great leader is as important as the forces of change that bring about the change. So this is the brief overview.
Sir, my first question to you is कि सरस्वती का विलीन होने का मतलब है कि हमारे वेदों का भी विलीन होना साथ साथ, people practicing the Vedas?
Very good question. In the Vedic system of philosophy, a mantra has many levels of meaning. It's like a stone thrown in the water. So Adi Bhautik, Adi Yajnik, Adi Daivik. So there are many ripples and many levels of meaning. Let me just give you a simple example. Jal. What does Jal mean? What does Jal mean?
जल पीने का पानी?
मैं जल गया. मैं जल गया.
जल, okay.
See, the same word jal is the exact opposite. It is water. It is that which puts out, the fire. Jal. So the jal gaya is to burn, and here it is to destroy. So there are many levels of meaning. So there are many. Why I am giving this background is there are many levels at which you can interpret the vanishing of this Saraswati. The first is the geophysical level. In actual fact, geologists tell you that this stream has gone underground at Vinashana, at that place called Vinashana. It has gone underground. One stream is at about 60 meters depth, and the other is about over 100 meters depth. Right? There are two streams of water flowing underground till the sea. Sweet water. And the army has done, boring to get that water out. And now the state government is doing work to get that sweet water out. And if we get it all out, Rajasthan will become as green as Haryana.
And the Vedas will come back to its glory.
So that is the physical level. The second level, you are absolutely right. The Vedas did not have temples. By the time of the Mahabharata, the principal gods have become not Indra, Ashwin, Surya, Soma, Brihaspati, etc. Who are the principal gods? Shiva, Vishnu, Mahesh, this trinity.
जी.
Okay? So the entire Vedic pantheon of gods they have been forgotten more or less, and a new set of gods have come up. And the Vedas believe in forest retreats to go and silence your mind. You no longer go to the forest retreat for silencing your mind, for living in the eco-niche. The entire basis of the Gurukul system of the Vedas is gone. And 10th century onwards, you know the way this country has been raped, looted, plundered, burnt, sacked. 8th century ye tamasha dekh. Now the Saraswati is re-emerging.
Superb,
Right?
sir. Great answer. Sir, my second question. So do you think that during the partition, giving away Pakistan, Balochistan was a terrible mistake?
Of course it was a terrible mistake because the Indic civilizational space has lost almost 1/5 of its area. Satellite photographs have today shown us that the Saraswati whole river tract is visible on the satellite photograph. First satellite to see it was Landsat, American satellite in 1970. And then a whole series of ISRO satellites have mapped the Saraswati from the Mansarovar Lake down to the Arabian Sea. This is what the Rig Veda said. It flows from the mountains to the sea, and now the satellite photographs have seen the dried riverbed. It is visible from the satellite. It was 6 to 8 kilometers wide, 4,600 kilometers long. The Yamuna and the Satluj used to join the Saraswati. It was only because of great earthquakes that the Yamuna changed course and joined the Ganga, and the Satluj joined the Indus. If this was denied, ice melt water became a monsoonal stream. Monsoons failed for 12 years around the Mahabharata. Saraswati dried out. Yes, you gave a part of your.
Okay.
The Saraswati still flows through mostly India.
Jai Ho.
What should be our strategy to connect our youth to our roots? So what is going to be our strategy so that the essence of our democracy जो हमारे पहले थे वहां से हम कौन से essence दे जिसमें हम प्रजाहित को we can give more priority in building our prajatantra, making it more stronger for future.
Excellent question. My first, how do we revive Bharat into that Mahabharata? Number one, we revive, we go back to the Vedas. We go back to the Vedas. We go back to the Upanishads. Have you read the Upanishads? My God, they have anticipated quantum mechanics. By thousands of years, they have solved the hard problem. What is consciousness? That is the problem that physics is dealing with now. I hope you know that. In quantum mechanics, there is no pure objective observation without the observing consciousness. So they are trying to crack the hard problem. What exactly is consciousness? How does it operate, work? Right? Thousands of years from today. So that is number one. And when we go back and occupy all our civilizational area, strategically, that will be Mahabharata. You will be a country far greater than China in terms of resources, in terms of manpower, in terms of power. So first we have to win back the subcontinent. Win back the subcontinent. Destroy Pakistan. Destroy Pakistan, which is an artificial creation meant to keep you weak. Strategically, that is the way to go. Create Balochistan, create Hindustan, create, Shia enclaves in Pakistan. Break your enemy. I mean, that's the way you have to go. You have to be as ruthless as that. Thank you.
Right. So do you think that changing the name of Delhi to Indraprastha would be that first step in all that you've said, bringing the Vedas back, bringing the Saraswati back, bringing Pakistan, Balochistan back, and bringing our culture, our root, everything, making Bharat Mahabharat again? Do you think that could be the first step?
There is no argument there. The original name of Delhi is Indraprastha, and it should be Indraprastha. By all rights, it should be. So we have to maintain it. If the name of Mumbai can change, if the name of Calcutta can change, and so many other towns, their names have been brought back to their historic roots. So why not? This will be symbolic. What is going to be matter really is way back to the Vedas, way back to the primal Indian philosophical outlook of action, karma, yoga. Yeah, I would reckon that the form of democracy that we have created for ourselves now needs to be tweaked. We have inherited from the colonial masters a total fractured polity, which the British fractured deliberately along every known fault line, and the first fault line they chose was of caste. We have a destroyed civilization based on caste fault line. Your elections are held on caste and creed and language and every kind of divisive force. We have to integrate, we have to get back to the Vedic philosophy when there was no difference between North and South. The emphasis on caste was not so much. It is a British construct meant to divide and rule. Now, 75 years after the British have gone, you can't carry on with that ridiculous British concept, right? So we have to get to a presidential form of democracy.
So how can we strategically involve the youth to do this and come forward and get more connected to Vedas and connected to our root?
I think we need history club all over the country. Bharatiya Itihas club, so that at the grassroots village level, they learn their history. Because I'm sorry, 7 years of BJP rule, and we haven't been able to reform our history books. Our history is supposed to start with the Mughal Empire. बाकी सब उसके पहले जंगली जानवर थे, and नेताजी का नाम मिटा दो, भगत सिंह को terrorist बोलो, and you continue 75 years after independence. You deserve. I mean, I don't know what to say. चुल्लू भर पानी में डूब मरने की बात है. We can't reform our history.
The question हम कर क्यों नहीं पा रहे? So that we
आप कर इसलिए नहीं पा रहे हैं साहब कि आपकी जो bureaucracy है, they very rightly think that with every government change we can't start changing history. हमने अपना IAS का एग्जाम पास किया था रोमिल्ला थापड़ पढ़ के, इरफान हबीब पढ़ के, and शर्मा जी को पढ़ के. So that is history. It can't be changed. ये तो मतलब I have passed fraudulent. So when you see the bureaucrats, they are the ones resisting it tooth, nail and claw, and you find in our democracy आपको straight away वो shortcoming पता चल रहा है कि they have not been able to influence the bureaucrats to stop that resistance to change of history. And the third thing is that most of our right-wing historians, I'm sorry, are very poor, very, very in terms of academic credentials, very poor. बस वो homemade हैं सारे. So that doesn't work when you have to convince outsiders. Then they say कि oh, it is just after all it can't be a diktat ki history. I feel it is this way. You have to show it is this way.
It is right.
Thank you. Now I must आप history club of Indraprastha से शुरू करिए और and we can have once a month at least a talk discussion.
So thank you so
Keep
very
roaring,
much.
sir.
Thank
Keep roaring, General.
Jai Hind, sir. Jai Hind, Jai
Jai
Bharat.
Bharat, Jai Hind.
Bharat.
Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
युग युग से हर युग की प्रेरणा
ये इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ.
हर युग का ये भारत दर्शन, हर युग का ये भारत दर्शन, हर युग का ये भारत
ये
दर्शन.
इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ, ये इंद्रप्रस्थ.
Welcome to Indraprastha.
The capital of the world's oldest, largest, and most vibrant civilization and democracy.
where eminent experts unfold the past, present, and future towards building a greater Bharat, Mahabharata.
An initiative of Neera Misra's Draupadi Dream Trust,
Ranjit Chaturvedi's Project Atmanirbhar,
and Aryan Aditya from Chrysalis Media.